Welcome to Woman Talk, where we keep it real. My name is Tara. Please join me and my girls Dee Dee and Promesta as we have difficult and informative conversations. Our goal is to uplift and encourage you. Please go with us on this journey.
So, and I know one more thing you brought up was forgiveness too. Forgiveness. It's so funny. Me and my niece just had that talk, and I was telling her she had to forgive somebody, and I'm like, you're not forgiving them for them. You're forgiving them for you because you're the one holding on to it. You're probably the one thinking about it every day. You have to forgive them. And then I think she was like, forgive them. And then I got to be in their presence. I said, nah, you can forgive people and then sit them over there in the corner or wherever you want them to be in your life. Everybody has a place in your life. So you don't have to interact with the person. You just need to forgive them.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah, because in my mind, forgiveness, if you don't forgive somebody, first of all, it poisons you. That's first and foremost. When you are going through, when somebody did something to you and you hold on to that, first of all, it's a seed. It's a seed in your mind. And guess what happens when you continue to water that? If you don't forgive people, first of all, God forgives us according to how we forgive people. So I'm going to put that out there, God first. It's like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. You the one dying. You the one dying inside the whole time. You the one drinking this poison, but you expecting them to feel the effects way over there. Whole time they done moved on with their life. You know, when people do you wrong, you got to forgive them and you ask God to forgive them too. Yeah. And free yourself. And that was part of my journey too. It took a lot of forgiveness and going back through my past because, like I said, Tara telling her story and me reading her book, there was some things that I thought, and sometimes you think you could forgive somebody, you tried to forget it. And we all need to go through that process in life. Everybody needs to do it for themselves. You need to reevaluate your past because sometimes you just kind of suppress the memories. Whole time you did not forgive somebody, but and the fact that you didn't forgive them is evident in your behavior, your relationships, how you go out in this world and you interact with other people, and you're still toxic. But sometimes we're unaware of the fact that we didn't forgive somebody. We forgot about it. We ain't even around this person no more. We don't see them no more. Whole time it's like, oh, well, out of sight, out of mind. But the whole time, there's something you didn't forgive somebody for, and it's still sitting there. But because it's not a constant reminder of it, you don't know it until it's presented to you.
And Tara, I want to ask you a question because I know in your first book, because I know you made some changes, you discussed, you talked about your mom and you guys' relationship. Can you talk a little bit about that?
So my mom was severely, persistently mentally ill. And at first, I was very ashamed as a child. I was very ashamed. But it's because you don't have a footing when you're a kid who's kind of been passed around. You don't have a footing. And then when you start to get a footing, you don't want nothing coming in that's going to interrupt that. And I always tell the story, and I think I talked about it in the book. My mom would show up to different places with her wig twisted and be telling folks she my mom, and I'd be like horrified. But I think once she told me, because she didn't actually tell me who my father was till I was 19 years old, even though I had heard rumors and this and that. But she didn't tell me till I was 19. But once she was able to do that, because she used to always say, well, I don't want to talk about it. It's embarrassing and all that kind of stuff. Even though she wasn't saying, I'm embarrassed of you, what do you think a kid who's been abused and neglected internalizes when they hear their mother say something related to them is embarrassing? So what, after she told me, then I understood, right? So then I'm like, now that same compassion, like what you were talking about, Melissa, I was able to feel for my mom. And those feelings of me being embarrassed went completely away. And then what I had for her was a renewed love and admiration because she still, even through all her difficulties, found a way to live her life. Was it the best? Maybe not, but she did her. She really did. And if anyone who met my mother would be able to tell you that. And what would happen the first time, it would be times I would have to be her legal guardian, because she couldn't really take care of herself. So through all of these processes, but the only thing that happened is God blessed me to just increase love for her, increase love for her, increase love for her. And even though we didn't have a typical mother-daughter relationship, we had a good relationship. I knew she loved me. I knew she cherished me. I knew all of those things, even up until the day that she died. I remember she never wanted to live with me. She wouldn't do that. But I was able to bring her closer to me when she was in the fight. We didn't know if she was in the final months of her life, but she was. And it's still, she found ways to try to teach me stuff, even through her own way. So I just remember feeling so grateful that she trusted me, because I remember she was like, and we had found out that eventually she was going to pass away from the cancer that she had. We had found that out. And I remember having a conversation with her and like, Mom, I don't know what you, and she was like, I know what I'm doing. I want to know you going to be able to do what it is you need to do. Because she was very specific with how she wanted to be handled, if that makes sense. So it was like, okay. But it was just like, here we are. So it wasn't a typical relationship. It wasn't a typical mother-daughter relationship. We weren't going to get our nails and feet done. We weren't going shopping. She wasn't babysitting my kids. Like, it was none of those things that you would think a grandmother or your mom would be able to do. We didn't have that kind of relationship. But God blessed me to be able to see her for the beautiful person that she was, even through all of her struggles. So, we had good spots. It was time she was in my wedding, these different kinds of things that were able to happen because I let go of some of the fear and some of the shame that I had attached to who my mother was. Does that make sense? Does that answer your question, Didi? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, but I mean, in today's time, I guess what is standard, mother daughter? I think, I think we have what is a standard mother daughter relationship? I think that we have. I wish we could. Actually, I was talking to someone about this. Not just mother daughter things, but even just women coming together and encouraging each other, and not no judgment, no anything, just women encouraging each other, because I'm happy with my group of friends. Look, luckily Tara's been in my group of friends that have been able to encourage me, and actually, not just encourage you, but even, I've taken Tara to help build family relationships. Tara, like, Tara, I need you to come over to my auntie's house. Can you can you help us out? You know what I'm saying? And she would come. So, and that was with mother-daughter relationships. I think just all over the place, we suffer mother and daughter broken relationships. I think we suffer them more than we have the tip. I think it's less typical and more broken in today's time.
I think we forget the mothers are people. And I think that
that's the one.
And Melissa, we older than you. So it's like, once we look at even generationally, we want our kids to recognize us as people, but they're gonna see mom first. So it's our job to be able to show them how moms as people act. Say I'm sorry. Nobody's taking a position, oh, I ain't never done nothing wrong. These are the kind of things that we have to do. We have to learn how to interact with our children as people, because that's what happens. And there's some significant, studies and things out there. But once the 80s got introduced and crack got introduced, the whole concept of mama and big mama and all of that kind of And that's
Yeah.
what we as a society used to be able to, we used to be able to build based around that. We
Mm-hmm.
always had somebody to fill in the pieces. Well, if Big Mama using crack and Grandmama using crack and Mama using crack, who's left?
Mm-hmm.
Who's left? So it's definitely strategic because the Bible says, "Let the old women teach the young." If the
Mm-hmm.
old women are doing their thing, who's left to teach? And so I think in our generation, me and Dee Dee, and then your generation, Melissa, coming along, now we can pick that back up again. But now we're doing it with swagger, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because we got that experience from the 80s. You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And so
Yeah.
now we can teach this new generation of women, and we can remind them that that's our job. We're not
Yep.
here as competition to you. It's our job to teach you, and it's your job really to listen because you don't know as much as you think you know.
Exactly. Exactly. And another thing that helped me come to where I'm at, part of my trauma was my mother. So the fact that me and my mom used to fist fight, like, I mean, fist fight. And get this, my grandmother died when my mom was pregnant with me. I ain't had no grandmom growing up. So it was just me and my mom and my siblings. My mom and me and my mom had some differences because I didn't understand her ways. I didn't understand why she was the way she was. Whole time, my mom had lost her mom when she was pregnant with me, her brother, and her sister. So in a 2 to 3 year span, she lost everybody she grew up with. And me, I didn't know that until I got older, but I hated her growing up. I hated her growing up because I felt like she was harsh, she was distant, she was a provider, but she wasn't one of the moms that gave me the love that I needed. And part of my process, the reason why I brought this up, is when I started to do my journey back to what we were saying about being compassionate and starting to place yourself in someone else's shoes. Although I didn't go through what my mom went through, when God started opening me up to dealing with my own trauma and even thinking about, the stuff that I've been through and forgiving me, it gave me a chance to forgive my mom because she didn't know how to love me the way I needed her to love me because of everything that she lost. And that was her way of dealing with it. I was able to look at my mom and forgive her because I was like, wow, I don't know if I could have lost my mom, my siblings, all in less than 5 years and still been this top of the line mom. Like, I don't know if I could have did that. Maybe I could, but now I'm no longer going to judge my mom because there's a lot of stuff that she went through and even more trauma that she went through that still to this day in her 60s is unresolved. So it makes a lot of sense about how she goes out and she maneuvers because it's still in the forefront of her mind or even in the back of her mind. It makes a lot of sense why she makes certain decisions in her life. So it gave me a clear mind to forgive her. A lot of times we look at mom as supposed to be mom. Whole time she's a human being. When I met Tara, I've closed my what you finna tell me that what you about to tell me? What you think you're gonna tell me that you read a book, right? And she wasn't scared. And that's what I loved about it. Like, oh, okay, well, you ready to come in here and handle business? You ready to open up and talk? It was that demeanor that was like, oh, she ain't scared. I like her. Like, we about to go in here and we about to get some stuff off our chest. And every week after that, it was a release.
But see, that what I was gonna say, and see, I come from an era with my mother's era, rather, is that you really didn't discuss stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yup.
Yeah, you just really didn't discuss stuff. And so therefore, it's probably why I come across so private. Tara knows, like, I'm just really, really private because you just didn't discuss things.
Mm-hmm.
And then not to hurt people. So then that was my next thing, to not hurt people or offend people. And I feel you have to get out of that, but to not hurt people and offend people, a lot of times I wouldn't share my story. Like, I wouldn't even share my story that that I was adopted. Really, I never even talked about it until I lost my biological dad. And so normally it wasn't even a topic. Not that I knew my biological dad, we would talk and all of that. And nobody probably, some people knew that I talked to him and stuff, but a lot of people probably didn't even know that we even held a conversation, but that we would talk and stuff. But then I did that to protect my adopted dad, who is good to me. So you're like, okay, well, this is my biological dad, but this is my father that's been loyal and there for me day in and day out. So you don't want to hurt anybody. You know what I'm saying? So you get put in that position. And I remember telling somebody that I didn't like it. It was just I was grieving my biological dad, but trying to grieve in silence to not hurt anybody else's feelings.
Mhm.
And that was driving me crazy. So I finally was like, you know what? My biological dad was my biological dad. I wouldn't be here. And my adopted dad is my dad. You know what I'm saying? And it's been good to me, always been good to me, still good to me. So I was going to have to be allowed to still grieve and mourn my biological dad, because it was just, you know, and that I didn't have to hide to do it, because I was hiding. I was literally hiding. I was literally grieving and hiding, which was driving me really, really crazy. And I just remember, if it wouldn't have been for Tara telling me, and I don't even think Tara knew that's what was going on, but she knew I wasn't okay. And so Tara was like, it's okay not to be okay.
So I love the fact that you brought that up, Dee Dee, because my mom came from that generation of people who just you don't talk about it.
You don't talk about it. And then they raised really the you know, their children, which would be, you know, me or you, or is to we just really came up in a time where it was, you know, you only talk when spoken to. You didn't ask no questions. You didn't
broke that rule.
Yeah, see, and we didn't break it, but we knew about it. But that you know, and I don't think they understand that causes trauma. You know, that helps with the trauma. Like right now, we're raising my little cousin, and I have always just felt like I wanted to make sure that she felt comfortable talking. Like we never just shut her down. We want her to feel comfortable talking, because I don't do that. Whatever happened here, stay here, because what if something happened to her bad? And then she not gonna say nothing because she already been told.
Yeah.
So my motto is, then don't do nothing you don't want her repeating. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't do nothing in front of her you don't want to repeat it then. Because I didn't want her to be silent about things that have gone on with her. I wanted her to feel comfortable and coming to me and talking to me and telling me anything.
Because a lot of people suffer in silence with that privacy, and you just don't talk about it. You know what I mean? The whole time, like you said, it creates trauma. And in a traumatic generation, raising kids is going to raise other traumatic kids, because they're forced to keep their mouth shut. I was the affectionate one. That was another thing that I came from, a non-affectionate mother. Me, I was the lovey-dovey kid. I want hugs and kisses. What we doing? Because that's what I needed when I was a kid.
Absolutely.
And one thing that my therapist said that stuck out to me was, be the love that you needed. Be the parent, be the mother that you wanted. Ooh, I was like, oh, I love that. Because I was serious. Like I wanted, you know, and that's another thing that I did. I documented a lot of my journey, just so if I need to reference it for somebody else. I wrote, I recorded things. If I wasn't near a book or a notebook, or if I'm driving, shoot, iPhones have voice memos. Okay,
they do.
You know what I'm saying? Like I wanted to keep up with my journey, and I tried to be as accurate as possible, so that way I could go back. But I'm telling you, like, I love the fact that you brought all of this up, Dee Dee, because a lot of people don't talk about that. A lot of people don't talk about our parents and our grandparents and that generation, and how they kept things quiet, and why this generation is so mouthy. If I don't know if that's the right word to say, but you know, like, we're vocal. We out here vocal because a lot of times we were forced to that's why when you get older, you just pop off, because you was just forced to just stuff everything down. The difference is God made me one of them kids. Even way before I was a therapist, when I was a kid, I used to want to talk about my feelings. I was in elementary school. I didn't know what that meant. All I know is I wanted to talk about how I felt. Let's talk about this.
Just so you know, you said way before I was a therapist. Just point that out.
Even before, way before I was there. Oh, I did not even mean to say, uh-oh.
That's what you said.
It slipped out.
I'm so glad you said that.
Oh my God. Wow.
Just-
Oh, that just, wow. That was some revelation right there, because that is not what I meant to say, but that makes sense. That makes sense. Oh, wow. Thank you for pointing that out. That just made my day.
It made mine. It made my day. And that's what I'm like, if it could just be 10 more therapists like me, like let's do it. Let's
Mhm.
do it. You know?
Yeah.
We would just like to invite you in on our podcast where we're going to talk about some things. So get your tissues ready. It's going to be deep, but it's going to be real. So we invite you to just sit in with us and share our experiences, share your experiences with us, and we'll share ours with you.